Now, from WYDC TV, this is Big Fox News at 10.
We begin tonight in Steuben County. Prisons across the country and across the southern tier have been hit hard by the pandemic, and now local jails are feeling the pressure as more inmates contract COVID-19. Here's Big Fox News COVID-19 specialist Amanda Decker with details.
From prisons to jails, COVID-19 has taken an unprecedented toll on the incarcerated members of our communities. Tight quarters, overcrowding, and guards and staff who come and go daily from the facility. These things all give COVID-19 the perfect conditions in which to spread. It is now impacting local jail facilities as well as larger prisons. It's a frightening statistic. 1 in every 5 inmates in the United States has now contracted COVID-19. Among prisoners nationally, there are 276,000 plus active COVID-19 cases. And in our area, the Elmira Correctional Facility is now down to 0 inmates who are positive. But at the Southport Maximum Security Correctional Facility, there are 14 newly reported cases. Within the past week, Steuben County officials have announced 25 COVID-19 cases have been linked to the Steuben County Jail. Now, they are not specifying how many are inmates or staff. Of the 7 housing units inside that jail, they have been split up into 3, set aside for people who test positive, people who are exposed, and those who are not exposed. Now, all local inmates are tested on a weekly basis, but if you do come into regular contact with people who work in one of these facilities, it is best to monitor your symptoms closely. Reporting for Big Fox News, I'm COVID-19 specialist Amanda Decker.
A somber statistic. Someone died of COVID-19 in the U.S. once every 33 seconds over the past week. That's according to a CNN analysis of Johns Hopkins University data. More than 18,000 deaths were reported from December 28th to January 3rd, an average of more than 2,600 deaths per day. The month of December was the nation's deadliest month of the pandemic. More than 4.2 million people in the U.S. have received their first dose of the COVID-19 vaccine, but that's short of the 20 million vaccinations the federal government repeatedly promised to have delivered by December of 2020. Some experts say the United States needs to speed up the COVID-19 vaccination process. Dr. Anthony Fauci, the director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, told NBC's Meet the Press that the U.S. needs to pick up some momentum and get back to where we want to be. Right now, vaccines are being given to healthcare employees and long-term care patients, but officials are hoping to soon have them available to a wider group of the general public. The first nurse in the United States to receive the COVID-19 vaccine is now fully vaccinated. Sandra Lindsay, who works at Long Island Jewish Medical Center in Queens, received the second dose of the Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine today, 21 days after receiving the first dose. Lindsay says while she knows we're not out of the woods, she's honored to be part of the process to help bring an end to the COVID-19 pandemic.
So my message is still that of hope. The initial study was done using two doses of the vaccine. So I feel like I've completed kind of the marathon. I've closed the loop. I know that we're not out of the woods yet. We don't have that herd immunity yet, but the burden feels definitely much lighter today, and I am very, very grateful to just receive this vaccine in the first place, having this opportunity.
The Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine has to be kept at a temperature of at least 94 degrees below zero when being stored. The first shots of the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine have been given in the UK, where public health officials are scrambling to contain the spread of a new strain of COVID-19. Fox News senior foreign affairs correspondent Greg Palcott has more from London.
The vaccine means everything to me.
A new coronavirus vaccine is now being given to patients in the UK. It was developed by Oxford University and the drug maker AstraZeneca and was about 70% effective in large-scale clinical trials. Health officials here are calling it a big step forward in their fight to contain the virus. And now some doctors in the U.S. are asking the FDA to speed up their timetable for granting emergency use authorization.
This is a vaccine that works well. It's being administered today in the UK, and we're not even close. The FDA is months away.
The deployment of this new vaccine comes as officials here are fighting to contain a new strain of COVID-19 thought to be up to 70% more contagious. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson said Monday he'll be announcing tougher new restrictions in the coming days aimed at stopping the spread in the UK. and around the world.
We've got a new variant that is requiring extra special vigilance, and we will do everything we can to keep the virus under control.
Officials in South Africa are also tracking a third mutation that may have already spread to Switzerland and South Korea. And in Nigeria, a major new surge is being blamed on a possible fourth strain. The doctors there say more research is needed.
We need to be monitoring the virus. We need to sequence. If we sequence, then we have more information.
The British National Health Service says that hundreds of new vaccination sites will be opened up to roll out the AstraZeneca vaccine. In London, Greg Palcott, Fox News.
President Donald Trump and President-elect Joe Biden both paying visits to Georgia today to stump for the Senate candidates in the state's runoff election. And while Tuesday's election will determine which party controls the Senate, it's not the only political battle brewing in the Peach State. John Lawrence reports.
President Donald Trump, in the waning days of his term, continuing to deny he lost Georgia in the 2020 election.
I think it's pretty clear that we won. We won very substantially, Georgia.
On Saturday, in an hour-long taped phone call obtained by CNN and first reported by The Washington Post, the president pushes Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger to overturn the repeatedly confirmed result.
All I want to do is this. I just want to find 11,780 votes, which is one more than we have.
Raffensperger, a Republican, stands firm.
Well, Mr. President, the challenge that you have is the data you have is wrong.
Trump's call came days after Congress meets to certify President-elect Joe Biden's victory and high-stakes Senate runoff elections. Trump is set to hold a rally in Dalton, Georgia for Republican Senators David Perdue and Kelly Loeffler. President-elect Joe Biden is campaigning in Atlanta for Democratic candidates Jon Ossoff and the Reverend Raphael Warnock. If Ossoff and Warnock both win, the Senate would be split down the middle, with Vice President-elect Kamala Harris holding the tie-breaking vote. Georgia officials say more than 3 million ballots have already been cast. I'm John Lawrence reporting.
The pandemic has certainly changed how we host events, and that includes President-elect Joe Biden's inauguration. Members of the inaugural committee say there will be a virtual parade after Biden is sworn in to minimize crowds. This will certainly be an historic ceremony as the nation watches Biden and the first woman to take the office of vice president. But they're urging people not to travel to D.C. The televised virtual parade will celebrate American heroes and reflect on our nation's diversity and heritage. More than 300 million people, that's how many folks flew in 2020, although about half of those travelers flew during the first 3 months of the year before the coronavirus pandemic set in. It's a 61% drop from 2019, but still, it's a good chunk of people considering months of public health guidance not to travel. The new tally comes on the heels of a pandemic air travel record set on Sunday. On that day alone, more than 1.3 million people passed through TSA checkpoints at airports across the country. Protesters marched in Minneapolis on Sunday, demanding justice for Dolal Id. He is the 23-year-old black man killed by police during a traffic stop last week. Now, police released body camera footage, and they say it shows Id fired at officers first. Protesters say the footage is inconclusive and they want answers. Marielle Mose reports.
What are you, man? Say the law! I'm here to support for the community for this nonsense killing.
The day after Dolal Id was shot by Minneapolis police, MPD released one officer's body camera footage showing how the shooting unfolded. Police say the video proves Id fired at officers first. Hands up! This group protesting Sunday says a lethal use of force was not necessary, and they still have unanswered questions.
The video is inconclusive.
Jaylani Hussein with the Council on American Islamic Relations led the march around the Powderhorn neighborhood. And he explained what justice for Dolal looks like.
We want police officers to have serious consequences for their use of force. Right now, they don't. Right now, they're given a great deal of discretion to kill people.
On Saturday, the Hennepin County Sheriff's Office released more body camera footage from the search warrant they did at Eads home in Eden Prairie after the shooting.
It just looked like, police discretion that is very aggressive and terrorizing, and really did not have any cultural nuances around, what they should be doing entering a home.
Police say Eid was pulled over for felony probable cause and would not share more details. His criminal record shows several traffic violations, possession of a gun without a permit, and 2 theft charges. But this group still does not believe Eid should be dead today.
Regardless of the criminality or the history, that people are people, and we need to take that into consideration.
He shouldn't be killed, no matter what. Life is precious.
Still ahead tonight, alarming statistics when it comes to obesity and COVID-19 infection.
Add COVID-19 to that, and the risk goes up even more. See, the cells that line your blood vessels and regulate blood flow, they are known as endothelial cells, and they can become damaged when you're infected with coronavirus.
Why losing weight may lower your COVID risk.
Here's your local stock market update from Big Fox. Now, your Twin Tiers forecast from Big Fox.
Tonight's Big Fox forecast is brought to you by William Mattar. Good evening, everyone. I'm meteorologist Kim Walker with your weather update. Unfortunately, our chances of snow will continue into your Tuesday, but it's going to be very scattered here and there. It's going to be very hit and miss as well. But one thing for certain, temperatures will start off quite cold. We're talking about readings that will be below freezing. So 28 degrees at 5 o'clock with a few flurries possible. Clouds will remain through much of the morning hours. We don't really warm up all that much. 28 degrees at 7 o'clock and then finally 29 degrees at 8 o'clock. So you may want to leave some time to scrape away the snow if you left your car outside, and also leave yourself some time to warm up the car as well if you're heading out and about. So it's not just us. It looks like over the region there's a disturbance coming through. So scattered showers, snow showers that is, all across the state as well as down to our south in Pennsylvania. So let's take a closer look at our future radar at our snow chances. Tonight, maybe just a few flurries just north of Ithaca, maybe even in portions of Schuyler County as well. And then during the night, it looks like mainly dry conditions. It looks like for tomorrow morning at around 7 o'clock in the morning, from Bath, Corning to Elmira, we're going to stay pretty dry. And then as we head into the afternoon, there will be a few snow showers that pop up. So there could be some snow near Hornell at around 6 o'clock and portions just to our west and Steuben County, maybe even the northern portions may be picking up a little bit of snow as well. And this will be the situation through the afternoon and into the overnight. So we do have the possibility of some hit and miss snow showers for the next 24 hours. But one thing for sure, those clouds will stick around. It's going to make it feel quite cold for the remainder of the week. High pressure builds in on Wednesday and Thursday, and so that's going to put an end to the snow by the end of the week. However, with a low pressure system that will develop in the southeast and then move into the Atlantic, it will have to draw a lot of wind from the north, and it's going to be a very cold wind. It's going to be chilly and blustery by the end of the week. Here's a look at your forecast. Temperatures tonight drop down to around 28 degrees in Corning, 30 in Elmira, 28 degrees in Perkinsville. Tomorrow, our temperature readings will be much like today. 33, very cold in Perkinsville, 36 in Elmira, as well as in Watkins Glen, Bath, around 36 degrees as well. So here's a look at your extended forecast. From this point on, we're going to see cooler air start to really move in. So a lot of clouds from Wednesday into your Friday. We go from 35 on Wednesday to right at freezing at 32 degrees on Friday. It gets even colder on Saturday with a high around 31 degrees, then gradually warming up into the upper 30s by early next week with the possibility of more snow on Monday.
More than 40% of all U.S. adults are obese, and obesity is one of the top underlying conditions related to COVID-19 deaths. In today's Health Minute, Mandy Gaither explains why.
Obese patients who contract COVID-19 are 74% more likely to end up in the ICU and 48% more likely to die. But why? Dr. Sanjay Gupta says it's partly due to how our bodies are built.
Our diaphragm is one of the major muscles that helps with breathing. Breathe in and the diaphragm contracts and the lungs expand to take in oxygen. But if you're obese, fat in the abdomen can push on the diaphragm, limiting how much air you take in.
And obesity is a precursor to other health conditions like heart and lung disease, diabetes, an impaired immune system, chronic inflammation, and blood that's more likely to clot.
Add COVID-19 to that, and the risk goes up even more. See, the cells that line your blood vessels and regulate blood flow, they are known as endothelial cells, and they can become damaged when you're infected with coronavirus.
Dr. Gupta says fat cells themselves may also be more susceptible to coronavirus.
The virus attaches to cells in our bodies through the ACE2 receptor. That's a protein that is on the surface of many cells. It turns out fat tissue has a high level of ACE2 receptors, thus acting in some ways like a reservoir for the virus.
Regardless of your weight, you can reduce your COVID-19 infection risk by wearing a mask, social distancing, and washing your hands.
In the coming weeks, the city of St. Louis will begin a new program designed to divert mental health calls away from 911. It's an effort that could reduce the number of calls to dispatchers while also pairing police officers with social workers for safer interactions and outcomes. Alexa Zotos has more on how this would work.
At the end of the day, this is about saving people's lives, right? And so we want to make sure that people are connected to the resources that they need.
A new approach to public safety. In the next month, St. Louis City hopes to divert thousands of 911 calls to behavioral health response, where trained professionals can help with mental health situations. Right now, St. Louis City Dispatch handles around 700,000 911 calls a year, a concern News 4 has reported on numerous times. This program could reduce that by around 5,000.
It will, and eventually, I believe, diminish those calls, but it also will let the dispatchers know you don't have to figure this all out, right? Just like the police officer on the scene doesn't have to figure it all out by themselves.
Wilford Pickney works for the mayor's office and is a former New York City police officer. He explains the second part of the program involves sending trained social workers out with police on calls determined to involve mental health concerns.
Our clinicians are on the scene with the police officer. They talk to the person, they make sure everything is de-escalated, and then they make sure the person has a safety plan.
The city is funding the program by diverting $860,000 from the budget for the Medium Security Institution, also known as the Workhouse. This program is similar to what many activists behind calls to defund the police have been asking for, an effort to use someone other than police to de-escalate certain situations.
The goal is not to defund the police. The goal is to fund the services that people need.
With COVID-19 and quarantines, 2020 tested us all, but if you're looking to get out once it's safe, we have a look at the 21 best places to visit in 2021. Here's Mandy Gaither.
It's not the best time to travel yet, but as more people get vaccinated from COVID-19, you may find yourself dreaming of a getaway. The 21 places to visit in 2021 starts in Antarctica, where a December 4th solar eclipse will darken the continent and entice travelers. Canada is next with its beauty. It's a good time to enjoy the outdoors. Then there's Disney parks. The Star Wars attractions were barely open a year when the pandemic struck. Or try something new in Dubai. This year it's home to the first World Expo to be held in the Middle East. Egypt is also enticing with the expected opening of the new Grand Egyptian Museum. France is always a favorite with its cuisine, world-class art exhibits, and more. Or try Ghana. The country's hip arts and fashion scene make it appealing. Greece is marking 200 years of independence, and Grenada is a winner with its lush rainforests and beaches. Hawaii is always a dream with its beauty, breathtaking sunrises and sunsets. In Italy, you may be able to revel in the sights without the extensive crowds. And in Japan, they're hoping to host the postponed Summer Olympics in July. Who wouldn't be in the mood for Maldives or Mexico? New Zealand is always appealing with its breathtaking landscapes. New York City's waterfront, parks, and museums may be experienced without the usual crowds. In Singapore, even the airport is worth the trip. And Spain is always a gem. Thailand recently reopened to most international tourists, and in the United Kingdom, Brexit may make travel more affordable. And finally, there's Uruguay with its coastline and pristine beaches. For Consumer Watch, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Pet owners, listen up. The Food and Drug Administration is warning about high levels of aflatoxin in some pet foods after 28 dogs reportedly died. The food containing the toxin has been identified as certain sport mix products manufactured by Midwestern Pet Foods. According to the FDA, aflatoxin is produced by a type of mold. It can grow on grains used as ingredients in pet food and can cause illness or death in pets when it's ingested. Pets poisoned by aflatoxin can display symptoms including jaundice, loss of appetite, and even vomiting. Pet owners can report suspected illnesses to the FDA on its website. The products have been voluntarily recalled by the company. A day at the beach turns into a harrowing rescue effort. Thankfully, a local surfer found his way into the water just in time. Jeremy Roth has today's Take a Look at This.
A professional surfer is being called a hero after rescuing a woman from the rough Hawaiian surf. Mikey Wright was recording video of waves off the Oahu coast when he saw the beachgoer get swept away. Wright wasted no time sprinting to the shore to see what he could do to help.
I just had to kind of assess the situation and what was happening, which way she was getting pulled, but where was going to be the quickest way for me to get to her.
He dove into the water, grabbed the woman, and started to swim back toward the beach, but the rescue was complicated by the large, violent waves crashing down on them. They made it to shore, and Wright says the woman was in shock, but was very grateful, as was her son, who Wright said ran up and hugged him.
Very emotional, and just kept saying, "Thank you, you saved my mother, I thought she was gone."
Over on the Great Lakes, Wisconsin thrill seekers started off the new year with a chilling dip in Lake Michigan.
Happy 2021! The heck with 2020?
Hundreds of brave souls gathered in Milwaukee for the annual Polar Bear Plunge. Rescue officials were on hand to monitor the frigid festivities, and despite choppy water and cold temperatures, they say everyone took the plunge safely. For some, the experience offered an eye-opening start to the new year.
Awesome! 2021!
For others, it was just another year and just another plunge.
This is our 27th year.
Why are you doing this?
Why not? Start a new year off in a great way, right?
Well, take a look at this. I'm Jeremy Roth.
We want to leave you with a smile tonight. Was your New Year's resolution to eat healthier in 2021? Well, here's a reason to put that off one more day. Today is National Spaghetti Day, so grab your favorite sauce and start boiling water to make that pasta. And while you enjoy your favorite bowl of noodles, impress your friends with this fun fact. The word spaghetti is plural for the Italian word spaghetto. Spago means thin string or twine, and that's how we got the word spaghetti. Thanks for joining us. Have a great night.